Stocks get off to a soft start today but recover to trade off lows. IT as well as realty are the big losers while auto eke out gain.
Stocks of Asian Paints and Berger Paints skid as concerns over competitive intensity rise after Grasim unveils its expansive growth plan. Analysts, however, see Asian Paints retaining its numero uno tag.
RBI paves the way for Paytm to transition customers to UPI payments once it receives a license from NPCI. Analysts see this as an important overhang lifting, powering the stock.
And the All India Household Consumption Expenditure Survey for 2022 to 23 shows a slowdown in the pace of consumption from 2011 to 2022, but rural consumption grew faster than urban consumption, thus bridging the rural-urban gap a bit.
Hello and welcome. You've tuned into Business Lunch on this Monday afternoon. I'm Nisha Poddar. With me, as always, is Pavitra Parekh. So, Pavitra, weak start to the week, I would say. A little bit of listlessness that is being seen, but there are enough pockets to really talk about. So, let's take stock of the market at lunch hour and Nifty 50 closer to the low point of the trading session at the moment. And really, if we take a look at the overall picture, it's a sea of red all across in all the portals, but Bank Nifty is the one which is slightly outperforming the key indices. Nifty 50 at 22,117.18 mark, which is down by less than 100 points at the moment. Sensex has lost more than 300 points. Bank Nifty is down about 125 odd points. And mid-cap, that is the underperforming zone, 0.7% down at the moment, over 330 points cut. Advanced decline ratio is in favor of the declines because of the broader markets really underperforming the key indices. Now, where is the damage really coming in from when we talk about Nifty 50? Whole host of, heavyweights. In fact, Reliance Industries, Infosys from the IT pack, TCS, these are the ones which are really weighing down on Nifty 50 along with Asian Paints because of the intense competition coming in the sector. But on the flip side, remember, Larsen & Toubro is doing well today, and also from the banking pack, HDFC Bank. Pavitra.
Hi, Nisha. Good afternoon. So, after the kind of solid gains that we saw last week, maybe a little bit of consolidation is warranted. Nothing to be, too alarmed of. By the way, if you take a look at the rest of Asia, also they are seeing, pretty severe cuts. So, Hang Seng is down 0.6%. You have Kospi trading in the red. So, it's coming in that backdrop. And, let's not forget that this is pretty much at all-time high levels as well. So, maybe some consolidation is not the worst thing. The entire IT pack is where some of the profit taking is coming in today. So Nisha was mentioning Infosys, but a lot of the other larger tech names are in the red. A lot of the metals as well. So names like Tata Steel, Hindalco seeing some cuts. You have news which is affecting the paint sector. So all of the paint stocks a little bit under pressure today. Names like Asian are, of course, the biggest, drag. We'll talk more about that. But some pockets are also doing well. For example, you have the auto pack, which is still holding on to gains. And even outside of the index, some of the auto ancillary companies, names like Jai Bharat Maruti, you have something like an SML Isuzu doing very well in what is otherwise a slightly muted market. And then the Adani group of stocks also holding up with good gains. So that is the shape of the market right now. We're going to kickstart Business Lunch by focusing on some of these individual movers. We have Asian Paints, which is slumping in trade after CLSA downgrade on the stock. Goldman Sachs and Macquarie, by the way, have also written on this entire paint pack. Mangalam is here with the key highlights from all of the brokerage notes. Mangalam, that large player really changes things.
But the large player changes things. That was, something that was spoken of earlier as well. But post the launch, the preparedness of the large player and the comprehensive plan that they have to become the number 2 player in the industry itself has had a few brokerages believe that maybe for the near term, the sector may see some sort of multiple derating. So case in point, CLSA, they've reduced their target price on the stock from almost 3,200 rupees to a little over 2,400 rupees, and that's the lowest target price on Asian Paints. And they've downgraded the stocks to sell. The reason why they do that is because of this impending competition and the kind of intensity that is likely to heat up. They believe that the company may or should ideally trade at their 15-year multiples as against the 66 plus times multiples that it is currently trading at. So they believe that scaling down of the multiples to a little over 40 times is something which is more reasonable in this environment. The other one that came in was from Goldman Sachs. They too have cut their target multiple on the stock from 58 times to 53 times, and they've also cut their EPS estimates for the next couple of years. They believe that the comprehensive presentation that has come in from Grasim has them believe that they will become a second largest player in the paint industry itself. And Macquarie has written, and they are more negative on Berger than Asian Paints because they maintain their outperform call on Asian Paints with a 4,000 rupee target price. They say that Asian Paints leadership will continue to hold on, and even as competitive intensity increases, there will be a bigger problem for other players, including the likes of Berger, etc. And that is why all the entire paint stocks or the entire paint sector is under pressure in today's trading session.
All right. Thanks, Manglam, for all those details. And Asian Paints down in trade today. And this is the second set of infrastructure, trying to capture the infrastructure growth story of India after cement. The paints business really seeing intense competition from big groups. Moving on then, Bloomberg report suggests that Reliance and Disney have signed a binding pact to merge media operations in India. In fact, our colleague Vamakshi is here with all the details of the report. Tell us.
Well, absolutely. Bloomberg has come out with a report which suggests that RIL and Disney have signed a binding merger pact. This is to merge their media operations in India. And as per their reports, the deal is likely to be announced early this week. Now, keep in mind that CNBC-TV18 has not verified this report independently. Moving on to the ownership structure then, RIL's media unit and its affiliates could own at least 61% in the merged entity, while the remainder could be held by Disney. But this stake split could actually undergo a change depending on how the Disney's other local assets are actually factored into this deal. Apart from that, when we look at the company's valuations as well, especially Disney's valuations, they seem to have taken a big knock. A recent report by Wall Street Journal suggested that the deal could value Disney's India operations at almost $3.9 billion, which is approximately 32,000 crores. But in October, when reports had first emerged, the report suggested that RIL had valued Disney's India operations between $7 to $8 billion. While on the other hand, during the same period, Disney had valued these operations at almost $10 billion. So definitely valuation for Disney's India business seemed to have taken a knock. But additionally, the report is also suggesting that RIL is also mulling over the acquisition of Tata Play Limited, which is a broadcast service provider where Disney owns a minority stake. So largely on the back of this development, keep an eye out on TV18.
All right, got that. Vamakshi, thanks a lot for taking us through all of those details. But moving on to another exclusive story now. Sources suggest that no listed company of the Aditya Birla Group is likely to participate in Vodafone Idea's fundraise plan, and a large fundraise plan is likely to be taken up at the board meet. Anisha, you've been tracking this very closely. Take us through what you're picking up.
Yes, thanks for that, Pavitra. Of course, the company has been struggling to raise capital for a while now. Now, sources with direct knowledge have indicated two very important aspects for this fundraise, which the board is going to decide upon on 27th of February, which is tomorrow. Now, I gather from at least two independent sources with direct knowledge of the developments of the plans of fundraise at Vodafone Idea that first, none of the listed entities of Aditya Birla Group, namely Hindalco or Grasim, which own stake in Vodafone Idea, likely to participate in this fundraising plan. Here, I would like to point out that at the time of Grasim's recently concluded rights issue also, the group had emphatically stated that the proceeds are not going to the telecom company. And on the other hand, there were analysts speculating that Hindalco's big bet on US listing of Novelis could also lead to that fundraise going into Vodafone Idea. And here I would like to clarify from sources with direct knowledge that it is unlikely to happen. At least it's not part of the plan. What is part of the plan is the promoter entity of Aditya Birla Group, as per sources, infusing funds as part of the fundraising plan. And source also indicates that This would instill more confidence in the investors to come in and invest and infuse capital for Vodafone Idea. So that is likely to happen, and that by way of preferential allotment of shares could be the likely option, is what I'm gathering from sources with direct knowledge. Remember, 2,000 crore rupees can be given by promoters, is what Vodafone Idea had stated close to about 6 months back. We reached out to the companies, did not get any comment on these developments, but fundraising could be in the next few months, is what I gather.
Okay, Nisha, and I'm sure you'll bring us up to speed with all of those details as and when we do get any more. But for now, we do need to take a short break. When we return, we're going to focus on the big question that is plaguing all markets across the world. When will the Federal Reserve begin to cut? Stay tuned. We'll be back in 2. Welcome back. You're still tuned into Business Lunch here on CNBC-TV18, and let's now talk about the big story that markets across the world are trying to really guess. And markets continue to trend higher, but investor doubts over when the Fed will really cut rates has been rising. This after, of course, hotter than expected inflation prints in the US. We have CNBC's Steve Leesman, who's here to get us a quick check on the entire timeline as far as the market's enthusiasm around rate cuts really goes. Take a look.
We marked a milestone in the outlook here or yesterday when futures markets fully priced out all the exuberance for Fed easing that launched the rally late last year, and yet stocks have held on to those gains and even added to them. The exuberance took hold in late November when Fed Governor Waller acknowledged that if inflation fell, well, the Fed would have to cut rates. That was followed in mid-December when Fed Chair Powell acknowledged that the Fed had discussed rate cuts at the December meeting, helped further by December inflation data. Markets took off and priced in 7 cuts this year. That's the bottom of the chart, that low funds rate. But futures markets started taking back that easing amid strong payroll numbers, higher inflation data, and then, of course, that barrage of Fed speak that warned against bets on early cuts. At first, the stock market rallied along with the easing. It sold off when it looked like the Fed would do less. But stocks, you can see they're right in the middle of the chart. They started to go their separate ways around the middle of January, embracing better economic growth and, most importantly, better earnings. For now, it seems stocks can trade higher on earnings and on better economic growth and a forecast of future but fewer cuts. The question is if the market and the economy, John, are going to hold up while the Fed gets comfortable enough to cut.
All right. So that's an important thing to watch out for, not baking in the euphoria of an interest rate cut turn in the cycle anytime soon. So let's watch out for that. And on that note, we'll slip into a short breather on Business Lunch. But when we return, we get you the excerpts from our exclusive conversation with Mukesh Ambani, the director at Reliance Industries, on his dream project. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch. A quick look at Grasim as a counter, and it has seen some gains in the last few minutes of trade. So keep an eye out on that. Remember, we had put out a story on how Grasim is unlikely to participate in Vodafone Idea's fundraising plans. Moving on then, let's get you excerpts from a mega exclusive now. Reliance Industries Director Anant Ambani has taken up an ambitious project of opening the world's largest zoo and an animal rescue and rehabilitation center named Vantara. Now, the facility is spread over 3,000 acres in Reliance's Jamnagar refinery complex. And speaking to CNBC Awaz Anuj Singhal, Anant Ambani speaks more about his love for animals and his vision for this dream project. Here's an exclusive chat.
देखिए, इतना बड़ा जो प्रोजेक्ट है वो सिर्फ बिजनेस एंगल से नहीं हो सकता, वो पैशन बहुत जरूरी है और वो पैशन मुझे आप में दिखाई दे रहा है। आपको तो आप बल्कि CNBC आवाज से हो तो आप बिजनेस के माध्यम से बात, थोड़ा बिजनेस की ज्यादा बात करता हूँ, लेकिन उसमें मुझे बियॉन्ड बिजनेस दिख रहा था। यहाँ तो आप अगर आप देखोगे तो हमने ये पूरा एक सेवालय बनाया है। यहाँ खाली जानवरों की सेवा होती है, हाथियों, अलग अलग
प्रजाति के जानवर की सेवा, रेस्क्यू सेंटर बनाया है और हाथी का एक कैंप, हाथी रेस्क्यू सेंटर बनाया है। यहाँ हमारे पास लगभग 200 से ज़्यादा हाथी हमने रेस्क्यू करके लाए हैं और जानवरों में हमने लगभग 20 से 25 हज़ार जानवर रेस्क्यू किए हैं। यहाँ 100 से अधिक अलग अलग प्रजाति के जानवर हमने लाए हैं। दुर्लभ प्रजातियों का भी हम संरक्षण करते हैं, उनको भी हम बचाकर उनका ब्रीडिंग का प्रयास और उनका कंजर्वेशन का प्रयास कर रहे हैं, ताकि हम उनको एक दिन जंगल में वापस से छोड़ पाए। आपने देखा होगा कि हमने ये पूरा 2000 एकड़ में बनाया गया है और कहाँ भी कोई भी जानवर जिसे मदद, जंगली जानवर जिसे मदद का ज़रूर है, हम खुले दिल से और खुले हाथ से उनको ले आते हैं। और हमें ऐसे हमारा पूरा टीम जो 3000 लोग यहाँ काम करते हैं, उनको लगता है कि उनका खुद का बच्चा है, उस हिसाब से हम उनको, उनका जो जितना भी जो हमारे पशु वैद्य है उस हिसाब से उनका ट्रीटमेंट करते हैं।
बिल्कुल, जैसा आपने कहा मैं एक बिजनेस चैनल से हूँ, तो बार बार दिमाग में ये सवाल आता है कि आपने इतनी ज़मीन, ये पहले से क्या आपके पास थी इतनी ज़मीन या इस प्रोजेक्ट के लिए स्पेशली एक्वायर की गई थी?
आपको बताया कि यहाँ धीरू भाई के समय से ज़मीन था। ये हमारे जो ट्रस्ट है, जो जानवर संभालने वाले ट्रस्ट है, इनको एक लीजन लाइसेंस पर रिलायंस ने दिया गया है और ये रिलायंस फाउंडेशन से स्पॉन्सर्ड और सिर्फ फाउंडेशन से स्पॉन्सर्ड। मेरे माताश्री का इसमें बहुत बड़ा योगदान है और माताश्री ने ही मुझे ये सब करने का प्रेरणा दी। और यहाँ अभी आप जैसे ज़मीन की बात कर रहे थे, तो हमने जो पूरा बनाया है ये पूरा सोलर एनर्जी, जितना भी आप लाइट देख रहे हैं और जितना भी बायो, हमने बहुत सारा स्क्रैप मटेरियल अलग अलग से यूज़ कर ये सब बनाया है। तो 2000-2500 एकड़ पर बसा हुआ है पूरा जंगल। आपने देखा ही होगा कि बाहर बंजर ज़मीन, यहाँ जंगल बनाया हमने।
नहीं, मैं इसलिए पूछ रहा था कि अगर मान लीजिए और 10,000 जानवरों को बचाने की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी, तो आगे जाके क्या इस प्रोजेक्ट को और एक्सपेंड किया जा सकता है? इतनी लैंड है आपके पास, इतने रिसोर्सेज हैं आपके पास उनको एक्सपेंड करने के लिए।
हम सरकार के साथ साथ काम करते हैं, वन विभाग के साथ। गुजरात वन विभाग ने हमें बहुत सपोर्ट की और वो तो ऑलरेडी इतना मशहूर काम कर रहे हैं गिर में और पूरे गुजरात में, तो हम उनके साथ पार्टनरशिप करेंगे और उनके साथ हम सहयोग में उनके साथ मिलकर कुछ ना कुछ करें। और यहाँ भी देखिए, ये तो एक, अभी तो आप खाली एक झांकी देख रहे हैं, इसमें तो बहुत कुछ आना बाकी है।
अच्छा, इसमें एक चीज़ मैं कहूँगा कि इसमें क्लियरली एक इकोनॉमिक एंगल है, क्योंकि मैं बात कर रहा था जो आपके लेपर्ड को संभालते हैं दिनेश, वो नक्सल इन्फेक्टेड एरिया से आए हैं।
जी, वो गढ़चिरौली से आए हैं।
ओके।
तो उसको हम लाए। हमारा बेसिकली 3000 से 4000 केयरटेकर है हमारे, और ये सबको हम पिछले भाग जहाँ इतना डेवलपमेंट नहीं हुआ है, नक्सल इन्फेस्टेड एरियाज है या जो नॉर्थ ईस्ट के रिमोट एरियाज हैं, हम वहाँ से लाते हैं। इनको एक अलग तरह का ट्रेनिंग दिया जाता है, क्योंकि ये बहुत दिल से जो जंगल में रहते हैं, जो आदिवासी जानवर के लिए उनका बहुत प्रेम अलग होता है और दिल से जानवर का सेवा करते हैं। तो आप देखोगे कि हम एक 3000 लोग हैं जिनका पेट यहाँ पल रहा है जानवर के कारण।
देखिए, मैं एक चीज़ कहूँगा, भले ही आप इसको नहीं मानते हो, आप पूरे पैशन से कर रहे हो, लेकिन ये तो इस समय इस दुनिया में जहाँ कार्बन क्रेडिट्स और जीरो कार्बन का इतना चल रहा है, ये तो आपके लिए एक आगे जाके बहुत बड़ा बिजनेस साइड ऑफ व्यू से भी बहुत आपके लिए कार्बन क्रेडिट में एक लॉटरी बन सकती है।
ये तो हम खाली जैसा आपको कहा सेवाल्य है, यहाँ हमें बिजनेस का नहीं सोचना। आप तो बिजनेस चैनल से है, बट ये सेवाल्य का मौका बहुत कम लोगों को मिलता है। भगवान ने हमें चुना और माताजी और पिताजी का आशीर्वाद रहा, इसीलिए हम ये सब कार्य कर रहे हैं। इसमें कोई बिजनेस एंगल नहीं लाना है, ना तो हम इसे, बल्कि फाउंडेशन ज़रूर मदद करता है, फाउंडेशन के बिना कुछ नहीं होगा। ये ट्रस्ट है, हमारे ट्रस्टीज़ है, और इसमें बट हमें कोई बिजनेस के साथ जोड़ना नहीं। ना तो इसे हम मनोरंजन के लिए इसका इस्तेमाल करेंगे, ना इसे हमेशा हम एक नॉन प्रॉफिट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, कोई मुनाफा के लिए नहीं, खाली जानवर का सेवा के लिए रखेंगे।
All right, that is Anand Ambani talking about his dream project, the start of this animal rescue and rehabilitation center, and all of the plans that he really has for it. But with that, we're completely out of time on this edition of Business Lunch. Thank you all for tuning in. We have Mid Cap Radar on the other side.